Have you ever wondered where health comes from? Why it seems that only a few of us are blessed with great health? Maybe some of us crack the code of good health? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you that good health is possible for all of us. And particularly, I'm going to show you, we're going to be talking about the link between food and health. Now, before we get into it, let me just share quickly that classic definition of health from the World Health Organization. Health is a state of complete mental, physical, social, and spiritual well-being, and not just the absence of disease. Now, today we're going to focus on the disease part of health as it relates to food, and specifically, we're going to be talking about 7 false beliefs about food and how that negatively impacts your health. Okay, so we're gonna get right into it. The first false belief is basically thinking of food as just calories, right? Now, your food is more than calories. Calories refer to the energy that you get from food, and your energy is going to come from the 3 main macronutrients in your food: the protein, the fat, and the carbohydrates. Roughly speaking, if you're focusing on counting calories, you are just looking at these 3 nutrients and the energy that you get from them. But you have to also consider the micronutrients. So you might be getting a certain amount of calories, and if those calories are coming from one macronutrient more so than another, so if most of your calories are coming from starches, for example, then you are lacking in micronutrients that might be present in some of the other foods. Fat with its fat soluble vitamins, and then meat with its own particular set of minerals and other nutrients. Okay, now to give you an idea of how important micronutrients are. Micronutrients would be your minerals, your vitamins, your special plant nutrients or phytonutrients. To give you an example of how important those things are, think about when you are baking something like banana bread. This happened to me a couple times. I am hurrying, making my recipe that I have in my mind, so I'm not referring to the recipe on paper. And I bake the whole thing with all the ingredients except for one key one: baking powder. So my bread comes out a little smaller than usual. It looks okay on the surface, but when I cut this bread, it is hard, it is heavy, it is grainy. Okay, now if you are eating your food devoid of these micronutrients inside your body, you can think of it like that hard, grainy banana bread. You might look okay on the surface, but inside your body, it's going to be grainy. It's just struggling, right? Stressed out, struggling, hard, grainy on the inside, and suffering and prone to disease. Okay, so stop thinking about your food as only calories, right? And think about the quality of those calories, the micronutrients that could come with those calories, right? So think about your food in terms of the richness, and an indication of lots of micronutrients, minerals, and so on is a wider variety of colors on your plate and also textures, right? So look at the quality, consider how nutritious, how nutrient rich the food on your plate is when trying to decide on your meals, and don't just focus on calorie, don't just focus on energy. Okay, second false belief about food is not realizing that, hey, you really, your body needs to be working on this food. Your food needs to be digested mostly by you. And when I say that, I mean that if your food ends up being processed in the factory, we all know about processed foods, right? Foods that were prepared in a factory, they were little parts, different components of the foods from the land and sea were pasted together, and different flavors and preservatives and other chemicals are added, and then you have a new food, or in some cases food-like substance. But this food, because it was all first broken down to its individual parts in the factory and then pasted together, this is going to be very easy to be broken down by your body. So your body would not have had the opportunity of working on it with your digestive enzymes and taking that time to extract in a more gradual, measured fashion the nutrients that your body needs, both macro and micronutrients, right? Your food is supposed to be digested by you, which is why one of my pet peeves is actually liquid meals, right? Popular meal replacement shakes. shakes, okay? But those meal replacement shakes, they're already digested. They're like baby food. Remember, we gave babies crushed foods, blended foods, because they didn't have a mature digestive system to break down the food. So liquid meal is like adult baby food, and you're denying your body the opportunity to work and break it down, right? Where during the process of breaking down the food, you will be burning some amount of energy, but more importantly, the nutrients from that food that you're breaking down, because you're taking the time slowly but surely to break it down, it's coming into your system, across your gut and into your blood, across to your liver in a more slow, gradual fashion. So your liver has time to process and package these nutrients and distribute them all around your body, instead of being overwhelmed by everything coming so quickly. Like from a liquid meal, it's already broken down, it's liquid, right? So it's going to quickly get across your gut in the upper part of the intestines, overwhelm your liver, which will have no choice but to package it away, store it away, because more is coming too quickly, okay? So don't deny your body the chance to work on food. And so in order to do that, it means that you have to have food in a more natural form, closer to nature, where you have to chew it, okay? Third false belief about food, right, is that your body was not meant to be working constantly to process food, okay? So you might think that, hey, I'll have small amounts more frequently, okay? So I'm gonna spread out my calories, and you might think that that actually is better, especially for those of you who are diabetic. You might think that that's better for your blood sugar because you're having just small amounts, so it's not going to be something that's necessarily spiking your blood sugar very high because you didn't have much of it. So I have had this example so often. A diabetic might have a soda, and they're saying, well, this soda is going to last me all day. I'm not going to drink it all at once. Okay, yeah, you might not get a high, massive spike because you're not drinking the whole soda all at once, but this is a liquid sugar. So even though you're not getting 70 grams all at once, still you're getting several grams constantly throughout the day, because it's liquid. There's no work for your body to do. It's going to get absorbed across your gut and go into your bloodstream immediately, and so you will get a high spike in sugar. Maybe it doesn't go sky high, but it goes up very quickly, and your body has to respond to that. And so your body is in response mode, right, or reactive mode, your digestive system, constantly throughout the day, because you're sipping that thing throughout the day. Your body is meant to get rest. We need rest between digestion, right? So you should aim to have most of what you're eating and drinking, certainly the things that are going to stimulate insulin and the other digestive processes, you need to have those at one time, right? Then give your digestive system, your liver, your gut a break for several hours thereafter while it catches itself, right? Recuperates in preparation for the next meal that might come in the next 4 to 5 hours or so, okay? That is what you need to do so that you don't overwhelm your system, wear it out, and then your liver struggles and cannot purify you of all the toxins and even cancer cells, right, that might be coming at it, because it's so busy trying to catch up with digestion of the food constantly throughout the day, okay? These are the things, of course, that, they cause disease, right? So that's what we're talking about. How do we promote health? How do we get health? And how do we utilize food and eat in a way that promotes health? On to the fourth false belief about food. This false belief is that, food is medicine. This is a term that's bandied about a lot, right? Oh, food is medicine, right? But food is actually more than medicine, okay? Because medicines treat disease. When we talk about prescription medicines, the only thing a medicine does is that it treats disease, right? Foods, yeah, can absolutely treat disease, but food does more than treat disease, okay? Food is to sustain health, right? So if you have foods, right, foods that are rich in nutrients, both micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, and plant phytonutrients, in addition to the energy that you'll get from your macronutrients, right? All this will keep your healthy state. You are born with this healthy state, and you want to sustain and maintain this healthy state with the foods from nature. We get disease when we go against what nature intended for us, and when we put in too many external artificial things that fight health, that block health, okay? So think of food as more than medicine, right? But as something that actually sustains health, it keeps health, it maintains health, okay? That's a false belief that we want to clarify there. Now, the fifth false belief about food, right, is that, hey, food essentially the right foods, right, will trap poisons in your gut. So you might think to yourself that, oh, I'm going to eat food and, oh, I hope I don't get food poisoning or whatever, right? But essentially you have to think that, yes, there will be toxins. We will be exposed to some amount of toxins. Like, our world is not 100% toxin free. And even for those of us who try to eat as healthy and clean as we can, it is impossible to avoid all toxins. And sometimes you might get food that is sort of tainted with a germ, and you might get food poisoning, right? That loose term, right? But if we eat the right foods, we have things in the food that will trap toxins and make us less likely to get some kind of disease, of our body to be hurt and become weakened and more prone to disease. Okay, now one of the big things in our food that will trap toxins is fiber, right? Fiber is a carbohydrate, but it's a carbohydrate that's not digestible. Our digestive system is not able to break down carbohydrates. Fiber. So the fiber stays in the intestine, stays in the gut, and it continues down, small intestines into the colon. As that fiber, right, and you can see from strands for celery, for example, has those fibrous strands, right? That's insoluble fiber, and then there's a gel-like soluble fiber. So together, those fibers, right, intertwine and have like a sort of mesh-like system that traps impurities, traps toxins, and gets them out of our body rather than staying in the body and causing disease. Additionally, imagine if maybe those toxins, they just cannot pass by. They're too big to pass through the gut wall and go into your bloodstream. But if you don't have enough fiber in your intestines, then those toxins are in contact, direct contact with your intestinal wall. And sadly, we're seeing a massive increase in colon cancer. I'm seeing it in the hospital younger. Before, colon cancer was something we only saw in older persons, super old, 70s, 80s. We are seeing colon cancer in people in their late 20s. We're seeing it in people in their early 30s. Colon cancer, we used to see a little more in men than women. We're seeing it equally in women. Young women with colon cancer. And the bad thing too is these colon cancers that we're seeing, they're so aggressive that by the time they come to us in the hospital, the cancer has already spread to their liver. Excuse me. It's a very unfortunate situation. And you have to realize that cancer, right, comes from abnormal cells. Those cells, just like skin cancer, depending on different chemicals that come into contact with the skin or sun that attacks the skin directly, right? Our intestines are like an internal continuation of the skin. So think of your gut, think of your body like a donut, really, right? And so you have the skin of the donut, but then it continues to within. And so for us, where our body's like a donut, where we have the external skin, but then it continues internally, there's an invagination. So our mouth, this is when we were forming in the embryo, where the skin continues, and there's an invagination through our mouth, which goes all the way down to the anus at the end. Okay, so just like we can have disease of the skin from harsh things being in contact with our skin, eczema and so on, we can have disease of the intestines from harsh chemicals and toxins coming in direct contact with our intestines. And that is some of why we have all the colon cancer, because we have toxins in our food. We're not having enough fiber, especially, right, to trap. We're not having enough phytonutrients also to cancel them out, right? So these toxins, unfortunately, are sitting right against our intestines because there's no fiber. We're not eliminating quickly. We're not eliminating every single day, having a bowel movement every day. And so these toxins have prolonged contact with the gut wall day after day, week after week, year after year, right? And then unfortunately cancer arises, right? So you have to think that, you know, food, it's not just about, you know, just we eat the food and, you know, the poisons, you know, they'll get out, however, but you have to have a conscious, you know, effort to have things with a lot of fiber to trap those toxins and prevent disease, okay? Another thing kind of leading on from false belief number 5 with trapping toxins, false belief number 6 really is forgetting, right, or not realizing or believing that the germs in the stool are very important. So we have, you might have heard the term microbiome, right? So that's all the mixed trillions of germs, bacteria in our intestines, predominantly in the colon, which are there in balance. And these germs are not just there, you know, for smelly reasons, but they are there to help keep us healthy. These germs produce good chemicals that help fight inflammation, help produce some vitamins, and help give health overall, right? Even help with diabetes, right? So there is a mix of germs, and ideally you want to have mostly good germs and few bad germs, okay? If you ate food that bad germs like, then bad germs will overgrow. The germs that bad germs like, the good germs don't like. And if the good germs are not getting the food that they like, right, the green leafy vegetables, all the fiber that they like to nibble on, then those germs will starve to death, the good ones, and you'll have overgrowth of the bad germs. Those bad germs produce bad chemicals that cause inflammation and promote disease in general, right? So when you're eating your food, yes, you're eating to satisfy yourself and your hunger and to give yourself nourishment, micronutrients and so on, but you're also eating to feed the good germs and the bacteria. So those are the ones that thrive and grow, crowd out the bad germs that are going to be producing bad chemicals that cause disease in your body. So eat for the good germs. Fiber, right? When they talk about probiotics, right? You want to promote these good germs in your body, and they need prebiotics, which will be the fiber and the phytonutrients that they can then thrive and produce the good chemicals for you, right? And then the seventh and final false belief about food, right, is that, thinking or believing that, hey, it's food, the label, it's in the supermarket, they labeled it food, and so you're thinking that because it's called food, it means automatically it's food, but not necessarily. In fact, so much of what you find in the supermarket, especially in the center of the supermarket, those packaged foods, they're not really food. Because what is food? Food, by definition, is something that sustains life, okay? It promotes growth. A lot of these so-called foods in the supermarket, they don't sustain life, okay? If you have just those alone, you will get diseases or worsening of diseases, and eventually you get sick and it ends in death, right? They don't promote growth of your good healthy tissues. They might promote growth of tumors, all right? So just because it's called food does not mean it is food. You have to look and see that it is natural ingredients from nature, from the land and the sea, and not instead chemicals. When you look at your list of ingredients, it should not be chemicals. You should know exactly what this ingredient is by just glancing at it, and it should be something that you would most likely keep in your cupboard or your fridge, okay? If it's a chemical or something you would never buy to incorporate into a recipe that for something that you're going to make, then most likely it is not food, and that means it's not something that sustains life. It is not something that promotes growth and gives you energy. It's just something, a filler in this food, something to enhance, make it tasty and addictive, and ultimately it's going to promote disease, okay? So those are 7 false beliefs about food that I wanted to share with you today, because if you have, if you believe in the wrong thing, right? And as a result, you do the wrong thing, and you wonder, well, why am I not getting this help? I see, some people have cracked the code. Why am I unlucky? Am I born sick? Am I born with bad genes? No, you're not. Unfortunately, you've been fooled, right? And we're cultured in a certain way and have these habits that basically you came up with from childhood, and so you know better. So hopefully this video gave you an idea of maybe I should shift my belief this way. Maybe I should change my meals in this way, change my way of eating, change my frequency of eating, change the combination of my meals, and have everything supporting health instead of disease, developing health, creating health. You might not be feeling the healthiest right now, but if you make some of the changes based on what I've said in this video, you can absolutely start building health and getting health and being one of the fortunate few who is blessed with good health. While you have breath and life, there is still always hope. I hope you found this video helpful, and definitely share it with somebody else who you think might benefit from this vital information. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.